How exciting is this? A thriller in Milwaukee. The Brewers are one step closer to becoming the NLDS champions. We have game highlights and fan reaction tonight at 10. Communities across southern Wisconsin are on high alert as the threat of severe weather returns tomorrow. And a Rock County woman is finding good in others as she deals with two major losses weeks apart.
This is News 3 at 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Eric is actually at the game tonight. The Brewers are victorious in extra innings in Game 1 of the NLDS. The crew walked it off in the bottom of the 10th. Mike Moustakas with the game-winning hit and Christian Yelich also with a big two-run home run in the third. The Brewers will play again tomorrow at 3:15. As you can imagine, Brewers fans are ecstatic tonight. Our Amy Reed is live inside Miller Park now with more. Hi, Amy.
Yeah, it was a great game for Eric to be at. What an electric atmosphere. Fans got a little tense in the ninth when the Rockies tied it. Some of them even leaving early and angry. But with that walk-off with Moustakas, I'll stop talking about it. Have a listen for yourself.
I feel amazing. Oh my God, it's our year, and that doesn't explain it right there. Even through adversity, we still find our way.
A little scary at the end there.
Yeah, a little tense, a little nervous, but such a great win, such a great result.
Excellent. We'll be here tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow.
How does this compare to the other ones you've been to?
This, a walk-off, way better. Like, awesome. You couldn't ask for anything more.
It's my crew, baby! Brewers are back here for Game 2 tomorrow, hopefully pulling out another win for those fans that have waited so long. Back to you, Charlotte.
Amy Reed in Milwaukee, thank you. And we will have full highlights and reaction from the players and coaches coming up later in sports. Well, we may be into October, a time we'd usually be heading out of flood season, but we are still facing concerns in the coming days. With rain predicted and high lake levels this late into the year, City of Madison officials say we're heading into uncharted territory. Our Madeline O'Neill tells us what you should know before potential heavy rains over the next several days.
Well, Charlotte, I think we're all getting pretty sick of this, but it looks like we may not be done with flooding in Madison just yet. We have a threat of flash flooding tomorrow. City engineers say Madison's lake levels are up 5 inches since Sunday, and even 2 more inches of rain could cause issues. So more road closures are a possibility. They tell us they haven't seen extended flooding like this before, and lakes have never been as high as they've gotten this year.
Lake Monona was 10 inches over the 100-year flood elevation at its peak a few weeks ago, and that's just never happened before, nowhere near that. So this is all uncharted territory for us.
Madison city officials are encouraging residents to check on their sandbags and not park in low-lying areas when heavy rain is predicted, including areas on the East Isthmus like near East Wash and Mifflin Street. The city engineer I spoke with says that since the lakes are still so high this late into the year, they will likely remain high in the winter as well, which means they could cause more ice damage to shorelines and properties than usual. Charlotte.
Madeline O'Neill reporting. Madeline, thank you. And let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Gary Tanolte, who is monitoring our chances for rain tomorrow. Gary?
Well, we are looking for the possibility for some heavier rain, especially tomorrow night. That's the time period that we have to watch out the most for as far as the potential for some heavy rain that could cause flooding. Now, we have an alert day in the forecast for tomorrow, mainly for tomorrow night. That's when additional flooding could occur with about 1 to maybe as much as 2 or 3 inches of rain expected, mainly from Madison on toward the south. There's also the threat for an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm with gusty winds and hail being the main threats there. Flash flood watch in effect from 7 p.m. tomorrow evening until 1 p.m. Saturday afternoon for much of south central and southwestern Wisconsin, basically from Wisconsin Dells southward. Precipitation potential just updated from our newest computer model run, still showing a general 1 to 2 inches of rain through southern Wisconsin from Madison southward, maybe some localized amounts in excess of 3 inches. The farther north you go, the less the rain potential is at this point. Now on Doppler tracking, you see rain already moving into northern Wisconsin. Some of that might even be mixing with snow up around Rhinelander. Thunder Thunderstorms, though, are starting to break out in parts of South Dakota and eventually will move into Wisconsin tomorrow night. There is that marginal risk of severe weather from Madison and Milwaukee southward tomorrow evening. Again, gusty winds and hail the main threats. High temperatures were early this morning. 66 the high in Madison before we dropped to 41, and our northwestern viewers dropped into the upper 30s this morning. Current temperatures now are in the 40s away from Lake Michigan, where temperatures are still hanging on in the 50s. By tomorrow morning, temperatures will be in the upper 40s with rain showers developing. We could see a thunderstorm late in the day with a high of 59. That's your first alert forecast.
Thank you, Gary. In political headlines, the full Senate is expected to vote on the confirmation of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh on Saturday. The FBI has finished its investigation into the sexual misconduct allegations against him. Throughout the day, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle took turns privately reviewing one copy of the report. It is still unclear if Republican Senators Susan Collins, Jeff Flake, and Lisa Murkowski, all swing votes, will support President Trump's pick. Dozens of UW students and community members marched to the Capitol today to protest Kavanaugh's nomination. The students marched in support of Christine Blasey Ford and other sexual assault survivors. This protest joined dozens of Cancel Kavanaugh protests that are taking place across the nation.
I think everyone who's a victim feels her pain too of not getting justice served. And it's hard to see that one of the highest courts in our nation.
More than 2,400 law professors signed a New York Times op-ed denouncing Kavanaugh, including 18 from UW. Some people are still without a place to stay following an apartment complex in Janesville last night. One woman says she lost almost everything in that fire, but she's grateful she was able to save some of the things that matter most. Adam Duxter reports.
Last night, Linda Tober left her apartment at Village Green East to visit some family.
I left at 6 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Everything was fine. Everything was normal.
But when she got back, the scene outside the complex was anything but.
I could see up ahead of me a little bit past the curves that there were a lot of flashing lights.
Linda's heart dropped when she realized the apartment on fire was hers.
It was very surreal, just knowing that everything that I owned was on the other side of that wall that was completely blackened.
Still inside, her dog, Max, along with the ashes and possessions of her late husband, John, who passed away just 6 weeks ago.
I hadn't had a chance to wrap my head around John's passing yet and dealing with what I should be doing with his stuff, and this kind of answered that for me.
Thankfully, Linda says someone was able to grab her husband's ashes from inside, but it had been over an hour with still no sign of her dog until...
He pointed to the front lawn, and my dog is out there running around, running around looking for me.
Today, even as her building is being boarded, Linda says she's grateful for the people who made sure those most important to her made it out.
Last night showed that as devastating as this was, there are good people, and they show up in droves when things like this happen.
That was Adam Duxter reporting. Linda says she's also grateful that she has renter's insurance, which will replace most of her possessions. She says all of her neighbors don't have it. Still ahead tonight, an update on the storms heading our way. Gary will rejoin us with the forecast. But first, a local family is hoping a newly approved drug can help save their daughter. Their story when we come back.
Ashley
A Janesville family says they're running out of options to treat their 6-year-old daughter's seizures. But there's a drug out there recently approved last week they believe could help, but the family's still waiting. Amanda Quintana shows us why one ingredient in Epidiolex has made for a long road to approval, a road that could lead to changing this little girl's life.
6-year-old Adeline Hiles is rarely alone, usually with her sisters by her side.
5, 6.
Especially at night when she seizes, typically 5 to 6 times a night, each time lasting 10 minutes to an hour long. Her eyes roll back, she spasms, and sometimes stops breathing.
We don't let her seize alone.
No.
Even though, even though we could just sit there and watch her, it's one of us usually that's holding her, that's tending to her while she's seizing, and so her sisters have kind of caught on to that.
At 3 months old, Adeline was diagnosed with Aicardi syndrome, a rare form of epilepsy with uncontrollable seizures affecting her function.
She's got quite a personality, where we were told that she wouldn't really have a personality, pretty much that she would be a vegetable, and
she wouldn't walk or talk, right?
Right.
She's kind of defied those odds.
Right.
She's so full of life, and she's ours, right? I mean, she's our child, but it definitely is. It definitely is it's a struggle for sure.
Caring for Adeline has become a way of life for the entire family, including getting her to take 6 different seizure medications twice a day.
And then she'll take 6 mLs of this, and this stuff's really nasty as well.
Many of them with serious side effects like blindness, then more medications to counteract those side effects.
She's 6 years old. I mean, how many medications does she have to be on to survive?
Even with all this medication, she still has 5 to 6 seizure events each night.
The EEG shows almost constant epileptic activity. Her clinical events are fewer than that. But because the electrical activity is occurring so often, it affects her function.
Adeline's neurologist, Dr. Frederick Edelman, says a new drug named Epidiolex could be the answer. The first drug with cannabidiol, a component of cannabis, approved by the FDA.
Nothing in medicine is the holy grail. There are always benefits and side effects, and we are going to take that same attitude toward this drug.
He says although studies show good results with similar epileptic conditions, doctors aren't really sure why. Research is lagging. For the same reason, the drug is being held back by legal hurdles. Marijuana is still a Schedule I drug. It took about 3 months after the FDA's approval for the DEA to change Epidiolex to a Schedule V. Still, Wisconsin's Controlled Substances Board says they must wait 30 days before approving Epidiolex in the state. For Adeline, that's more waiting, more time, and possibly more function lost.
It's like you have cancer and somebody has a cure, and like, hey, I've got this cure. It's like, all right, great, can I have it? And I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna hold on to it. Let's wait a while.
The Hiles are confident Epidiolex will work, recently turning to CBD supplements. In the meantime, they say that's brought Adeline's seizures down to just 1 some nights.
This is a girl that's got really severe medical issues. I mean, and we're buying stuff out of a health food store that's labeled as a supplement to take care of it. And it's actually more effective than the thousands of dollars of medications that we have in the cupboards right now from the pharmaceutical companies.
Although the store-bought CBD supplements are working, they're spending almost $300 out of pocket for enough for maybe 30 days. It's unregulated, and they're on their own without a doctor's guidance.
We're at the point now where our backs are kind of to the wall, and we need a different option. And so it could absolutely be life-altering for her and really for our family.
They hope Epidiolex could eventually replace all of these drugs, increasing Adeline's quality of life and giving her more time than the average lifespan with Aicardi, just 18 years old.
She could live into her 40s or 50s. It all depends on how we control those seizures and those spasms.
Hi.
Her life depends on it.
Amanda Quintana, WISC News 3.
The hope is that Epidiolex will be available in Wisconsin by the end of the month. Although Adeline's family believes the prescription will be covered by insurance, it could still be pricey for others. The Wall Street Journal reports the pharmaceutical company plans to charge more than $32,000 annually per patient. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joins us now, and you are keeping track of the storms.
Yeah, we're watching them for tomorrow night. I think, before then we'll be okay. We'll see some rain overnight and tomorrow morning, but it's tomorrow night that we have the biggest concern for. Let's start out by taking a look at the alert day that we have in the forecast, mainly for tomorrow night. That's when we could see some thunderstorms that bring the potential for producing some additional flooding in areas that have already been receiving it or making it worse, and then also the possibility for some gusty winds and hail and an isolated stronger thunderstorm or two. Flash flood watch in effect from 7 p.m. tomorrow through 1 p.m. Saturday afternoon, basically from Wisconsin Dells southwards. That does include the Madison metro area as well as parts of Illinois and Iowa. Latest computer model updates still pretty much painting the same picture. About 1 to maybe locally 3 inches of rain from Madison southward with showers and thunderstorms tomorrow night. The areas north of Madison, much less in the way of rain, and that area probably less likely to see any additional flooding. Now, the thunderstorms that rolled through last night were fast movers and didn't drop a lot of rain. Many areas picked up less than a half inch of rain. A few places picked up an inch or two, but that was much more the exception rather than the rule. Doppler track tonight already showing some showers up in central Wisconsin. In fact, they might even be mixing with snow up toward Rhinelander with temperatures there in the 30s. But to the west, you can see showers, and now we're starting to see some flashes of lightning showing up from time to time in parts of South Dakota. Those are the thunderstorms that will be reaching us tomorrow night. Storm Prediction Center has a marginal risk of severe thunderstorms from Madison, Milwaukee southward for tomorrow evening. Other than that, the rain is the main threat. Live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. Skies have clouded up here, and it's a little chilly out there. Our high of 66, you probably didn't remember that because that was early this morning. Low temperature this morning dropped to 41. We made it back up into the upper 50s this afternoon, and now we're at 46 degrees with partly cloudy skies, winds out of the east-southeast at 9 miles per hour. The humidity at 71%. Current temperatures are in the upper 30s, just north of Rhinelander, up toward Eagle River. That's the area that might be seeing a mix of rain and snow right now. Elsewhere, mainly 40s across the state. La Crosse still at 50 degrees. But as we take a look at weather track, the upper level winds are from the southwest, so you can see showers and thunderstorms developing out to the west, heading in our direction. The cold front that brought us thunderstorms last night now south of the Ohio River, but eventually will start working back northward as a warm front. As that does so, that's when our chances for rain will increase. Look at this, already winter weather advisories for parts of South Dakota or North Dakota, and a winter storm watch for southwestern South Dakota, where temperatures are in the 30s. We're in the 40s with 50s and 60s not far to our south, so that's that temperature contrast. They'll view the thunderstorms for tomorrow night. Flash flood watch from tomorrow evening through Saturday morning for much of the viewing area. 44 for the overnight low temperature. Rain developing toward morning. For tomorrow, look for a high of 59 degrees with a shower early in the morning and then perhaps late in the afternoon. Future track brings the rain in the morning. That sweeps out. Then look for dry weather for much of the day. The shower and thunderstorm chances are much more prevalent tomorrow night into early Saturday morning. And then Saturday, those should move out. We'll still see cloudy skies, temperatures in the 50s. Again, those rainfall amounts probably heaviest to the south of Madison, a little less to the north. 7 to 10 day forecast, more showers and thunderstorms in the forecast beginning late Sunday into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Temperatures go into the 70s for 3 days, and then look what happens. We dry out, but at least the temperatures turn cooler.
Oh my
so
gosh.
a little bit of a trade-off there, getting the cooler weather, but at least some dry weather there.
All right, Gary, thank you.
Okay.
Will a week off make the Badger football team a little rusty against Nebraska Saturday night? Paul Chris weighs in on that in sports.
News 3.
The Brewers had their first playoff game in Milwaukee in 7 years, and it was a dandy. Christian Yelich has been as hot as you can be the last month, and nothing changes tonight. That's a 2-run homer, bottom of the third inning, gives the Brewers a 2-0 lead. Looked like that's all their pitching would need, but the normally reliable Jeremy Jeffress suddenly becomes unreliable in the ninth. Charlie Blackmon's RBI single and a sac fly ties it at 2, sending the game to extra innings. But in the bottom of the 10th, Mike Moustakas saves the day. He rips a single to right to end a long up and down day, and the Brewers escape with a win in Game 1, 3-2, as the celebration still continues at Miller Park. Joakim Sora gets the pitching win in a scoreless 10th. The Brewers defend their home turf with the 3-2 win. A quick turnaround as Game 2 is just a few hours away. First pitch tomorrow afternoon at Miller Park is at 3:15. And we now go to Miller Park, where Kevin Lewis saw the game. And Kevin, I'm guessing your ears are still probably ringing.
Jay, I can't hear you. No, ringing a little bit, but we settled down since then. Brewers manager Craig Counsell actually smiled in the postgame. He said he was pleased overall with the Brewers' bullpen game performance until it broke down in the ninth, and all he had to do was wait one more inning until Mike Moustakas, someone not named Christian Yelich, delivered the Crew's second ever postseason walk-off win. The chants were moose, the moose was loose, and the Brewers' magic continues.
Being in the postseason a couple years back, it definitely helps, It was an awesome atmosphere in there. So, adrenaline was running high. You just try not to do too much. Try and put the barrel to the ball. And, I was fortunate enough that he threw me another pitch over the plate.
You're just trying to slow it down. Obviously, you have the nervous energy before, the first pitch and the first inning. And then after that, it's back to baseball. You're just trying to slow everything down and not let the moment consume you.
It's a cool moment, man. It was the fans took it was a roller coaster ride for the fans tonight.
Counsell also told me after the game that every time they need a walk-off win, they just get Gio Gonzalez warming up in the bullpen because it happened earlier this season. That's when he reportedly smiled in the postgame news conference. Yuli Chassin takes the ball tomorrow on short rest for the Brewers opposite Tyler Anderson for the Rockies. 3:15 first pitch in Milwaukee on Fox Sports 1. At Miller Park, I'm Kevin Lewis, News 3 Sports.
Thanks, Kevin. Hope your hearing comes back soon. Bad news for Badger football. Head coach Paul Chryst announces today tight end Xander Neville is out for the rest of the season. His injury is a new one, a left knee that was hurt in practice this week. So to help soften the blow a bit, backup tight end Luke Benshaw expected to return from a leg injury this week. Badgers against Nebraska, Camp Randall, Saturday night, 6:30. Now some will wonder if restarting the season after a break might make the Badgers a little rusty out of the gate against the Cornhuskers.
I do believe there's a game speed is a real thing. It's a different speed. And yet, it also has to deal with what's going on in the specifics of the game. But I think guys are ready. We've had some good tempo practices, so we've been going against each other. So you're getting some of that, but not for the length of a game. But certainly every team, whether it's coming off a bye or not, you want to start fast, and the best way to start fast is playing good football.
And our Prep Mania Game of the Week, Stoughton and Monona Grove, live on TVW Channel 3000.com tomorrow night at 7, and we'll be right back.
That's all the time we have. Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Now.